When Zach Galifianakis unleashes his razor-sharp insults on Justin Bieber during Between Two Ferns, the room freezes. The jokes cut deeper than usual, targeting Bieber's scandals, music, and persona. This time, the pop star's smile fades, his fists clench, and the audience holds its breath. Will Bieber walk off the set? The set of Between Two Ferns was deceptively simple: 2 folding chairs, a black backdrop, and a sad fern wilting in the corner. The studio lights glared down, hot and unforgiving, as Zach Galifianakis, in a rumpled plaid shirt, slouched in his chair, his deadpan stare fixed on Justin Bieber. The pop star, dressed in a crisp white tee and a backward cap, sat opposite, his usual easy grin in place but his eyes wary. The crew, a small group of camera operators and producers, stood silent behind the scenes, sensing the tension before the first word was spoken. This wasn't just another episode. This was a showdown. Zach's show thrived on discomfort, his interviews a masterclass in awkward, biting humor. He'd roasted everyone from Brad Pitt to Barack Obama, always walking the line between funny and cruel. But Bieber was different, a 25-year-old megastar with a trail of tabloid headlines, from DUI arrests to public feuds, and a fanbase that both worshipped and scrutinized him. Zach had a reputation for digging into his guests' sore spots, and Bieber's were an open wound. The cameras rolled. Zach leaned forward, his voice dripping with mock sincerity. "So, Justin, when did you decide to make music that sounds like a ringtone for a flip phone?" The audience, mostly crew, primed to laugh, chuckled. Bieber forced a smile, shifting in his seat. "I just make what feels right, man," he said, his tone light but his jaw tight. Zach didn't pause. Right. Like when you felt it was right to abandon your pet monkey in Germany? Classy move." The jab landed hard. Bieber's smile faltered, his fingers tapping his knee. The monkey incident, years old, was a sore point, a media frenzy that painted him as reckless. He leaned back, crossing his arms. "That was a long time ago, Zach. I was a kid." His voice was calm, but there was an edge, a warning. The crew exchanged glances. Zach smirked, undeterred. "A kid? You're still a kid, aren't you? Just with worse tattoos and a bigger ego." The room went quiet, the laughter dying. Bieber's eyes narrowed, his posture stiffening. This wasn't the playful roast he'd expected. It was cold, calculated aggression, dressed up as comedy. Zach pressed on, his voice sharper now. "Let's talk about your fans. The Beliebers. Do they ever get tired of defending your, let's call it, artistic evolution? Or are they just brainwashed by those babyface posters?" Bieber's hand clenched into a fist, his knuckles whitening. "My fans are loyal. They get me. Maybe you should try having some," he shot back, his voice low, controlled, but burning. The crew held their breath. Zach's smirk didn't waver, but his eyes gleamed with something darker. "Loyal? Like how loyal you were to Selena Gomez before you." "Oops, my bad, we're not supposed to talk about her, right?" That was the line. Bieber's face hardened, his body leaning forward like he was ready to stand. "You done?" he said, his voice ice. The fern between them seemed to wilt further under the tension. Zach tilted his head, feigning innocence. "Done? I'm just getting started, buddy." For a moment, it looked like Bieber might walk. His chair scraped slightly, his eyes darting to the exit. The producer, off camera, shifted nervously, ready to call a cut. But Bieber stayed, his jaw working, his gaze locked on Zach. "You think you know me," he said, slow and deliberate. "You read some headlines, watch some TMZ, and you think you've got my story. You don't." Zach raised an eyebrow, unfazed. "Enlighten me, then. What's the real Justin Bieber like? Besides the guy who parks his Lamborghini in handicapped spots?" Bieber's laugh was bitter, humorless. "Keep going, man. It's your show." But his body language screamed he was done playing. The air was thick, the humor gone, replaced by a raw, unspoken challenge. Zach leaned back, sensing he'd pushed far enough, for now. "All right, let's pivot," he said, his tone lighter but his eyes still sharp. "Tell me about your new album. Is it, what's the word, listenable?" The interview limped on, Bieber answering in short, clipped sentences, his charm replaced by a guarded edge. The crew relaxed slightly, but the damage was done. When the cameras stopped, Bieber stood abruptly, ripping off his mic and tossing it on the chair. He didn't look at Zach, didn't say a word, just walked out, his sneakers echoing in the silent studio. Zach watched him go, his expression unreadable, then turned to the producer. "That's a wrap, right?" Outside, Bieber leaned against his car, the LA sun harsh on his face. He wasn't the kid who'd crumbled under scrutiny years ago. He'd grown, fought for his comeback, rebuilt his life. But Zach's words had cut deeper than he'd expected, stirring old wounds, his mistakes, his public shaming, the weight of being Justin Bieber. He took a deep breath, his fists unclenching. This wasn't the end. He'd prove them wrong, not with words, but with what he did next. Inside, the crew murmured, already editing the footage. The episode would go viral, Bieber's near walkout, Zach's ruthless jabs. But for Bieber, it wasn't about the views. It was about surviving the fire and coming out stronger. He slid into his car, the engine roaring to life, and drove off, ready to write the next chapter on his terms. The studio door slammed behind Justin Bieber, the echo cutting through the stunned silence of the Between Two Ferns set. Zach Galifianakis' relentless jabs, mocking his music, scandals, and personal life, had stripped away the pop star's practiced charm, leaving raw anger in its place. Bieber's near walkout was already being edited into viral gold by the crew, but outside, in the harsh LA sunlight, Bieber faced a different challenge, shaking off the sting and proving he was more than Zach's punchline. Bieber leaned against his black Range Rover in the studio lot, his backward cap pulled low, shielding his eyes from the glare. His hands were still clenched, knuckles pale, as he replayed Zach's words, the monkey jab, the Selena dig, the sneer about his fans. Each one had hit like a blade, not because they were new, Bieber had heard worse, but because they were delivered with such cold precision, dressed up as comedy. The crew inside was probably laughing, splicing footage to maximize the drama. He could already see the headlines, Bieber snaps on Between Two Ferns. But he wasn't snapping. Not yet. He slid into his car, the leather cool against his skin, and cranked the AC. His phone buzzed, texts from his manager, Scooter Braun, who'd warned him about Zach's style. "Just play along, keep it light," Scooter had said. Bieber had agreed, thinking he could handle it. He'd faced hostile interviewers, rabid paparazzi, even courtrooms. But Zach's attack felt personal, like a vendetta under the guise of humor. Bieber tossed his phone onto the passenger seat, ignoring the messages. He needed to think. Driving through LA's gridlocked streets, he blasted his own music, the bass thumping against his thoughts. The city blurred past, billboards, palm trees, tourists snapping selfies. He'd built his career here, from a YouTube kid to a global icon, but the scars of his past, arrests, breakups, meltdowns, still followed him. Zach had weaponized those scars, and Bieber hated how much it stung. He wasn't that reckless teen anymore. He'd married Haley, found faith, poured his soul into albums like Purpose and Justice. Yet one interview could drag him back to square one. His phone rang, Scooter's name flashing. Bieber answered, putting it on speaker. "You good, JB?" Scooter's voice was calm but urgent. "Crew's saying you almost bolted. What happened?" Bieber's grip tightened on the wheel. "Zach went too far, man. It wasn't funny, it was personal." Scooter sighed. "That's his shtick. You knew that going in. The episode's gonna drop tomorrow, and it's already trending. We need a plan." Bieber pulled into a Starbucks drive-thru, needing a moment to breathe. "Plan for what? To let him make me look like a joke?" Scooter's tone sharpened. "No. To flip it. People love you because you're real. Use that. Post something, talk to your fans, show them who you are." Bieber ordered a cold brew, his mind racing. Scooter was right, Zach's jabs only had power if Bieber let them define him. He thanked Scooter, hung up, and parked, sipping his coffee while scrolling X. The Between Two Ferns teaser was already up, a 15-second clip of Zach's flip phone ringtone line and Bieber's tense smile. Comments were pouring in, Bieber got roasted. Zach savage. But there were others, believers defending him, calling out Zach's cruelty. "Justin deserves better," one wrote. "He's grown, leave him alone." Bieber's jaw unclenched slightly. His fans had his back, like always. They saw the work he'd put in, the man he'd become. Zach didn't get to erase that. He opened his Instagram, the app a second home. His last post was a studio selfie, teasing new music. Now, he drafted a new one, his thumbs moving fast. "Sat down with Zach G today. Thought it'd be fun, but it felt like a fight. I'm not perfect, never was. But I'm here, still standing, still creating. Thanks to my fans, you know the real me. New music soon. #purpose. He attached a photo from the set, his face serious but composed, and hit post. Within minutes, likes flooded in, comments stacking. We love you, JB. Zach's a bully. Keep shining. The post was a start, but Bieber wasn't done. He called Hailey, needing her grounding voice. She picked up on the second ring, her tone warm. Saw the clip, babe. You okay? Bieber exhaled, the weight lifting slightly. Yeah. Just pissed. He came for everything, my music, my past, you name it. Hailey's laugh was soft but fierce. Let him talk. You're bigger than that. Always have been. She paused. Come home. We'll figure it out. At their Beverly Hills house, Hailey was waiting, her hair in a messy bun, wearing one of his oversized hoodies. They sat on the couch, a laptop open, rewatching the full episode the crew had sent as a courtesy. It was worse than Bieber remembered. Zach's smirks, the audience's uneasy laughs, his own barely contained anger. Hailey squeezed his hand. You didn't let him win. You stayed. That's strength. Bieber nodded, her words sinking in. He'd wanted to walk, to punch something, but he'd held it together. That was progress. They brainstormed over pizza, the box open on the coffee table. Hailey suggested a response video, something raw, unfiltered. Talk to your fans, she said. Not about Zach, about you. What you're working on, why you keep going. Bieber liked it. He set up his phone, the living room's soft lighting enough, and recorded a quick clip. Yo, it's JB. Today was rough, but it's fuel. I'm in the studio, making music for you. My past doesn't define me, you do. Love y'all. He posted it to X, the response immediate, thousands of retweets, fans flooding his mentions with support. By morning, the Between Two Ferns episode dropped, racking up millions of views. The internet split, some called Zach a genius, others a jerk. But Bieber's posts were trending higher, his fans drowning out the noise. He spent the day in the studio, laying down vocals for a new track, the lyrics pouring out, regret, resilience, redemption. Zach's jabs had hurt, but they'd lit a fire. Bieber wasn't the kid who'd crumble. He was the man who'd rise, again and again, with his fans behind him and his music leading the way. The Beverly Hills studio was a sanctuary, its soundproof walls blocking out LA's chaos. Justin Bieber stood in the vocal booth, headphones on, the mic catching every breath as he poured himself into a new track. The beat was raw, a blend of hip-hop and soul, the lyrics a confession. They throw my past in my face, but I'm still running this race. His voice cracked with emotion, each word a rebuttal to Zach's sneers. Outside the booth, his producer, Josh Goodwin, nodded, tweaking levels. That's it, JB, keep that fire, Josh said through the talkback mic. It was 3 days since the Between Two Ferns shoot, and the episode was everywhere, YouTube, X, TikTok. Comments ranged from, Zach destroyed him, to, Bieber's a king, Zach's a clown. The Beliebers were out in force, flooding Zach's mentions with shade and hyping Bieber's posts. His Instagram, raw and real, had millions of likes. I'm not perfect, never was. But I'm here, still standing. His X video, filmed in his living room, was nearing 10 million views, fans quoting his line, my past doesn't define me, you do. But the haters were loud too, dredging up old scandals, his DUI, his egging incident, his breakup with Selena. Zach's jabs had given them fresh ammo. Bieber stepped out of the booth, wiping sweat from his brow. Hailey sat on a couch in the control room, scrolling X on her phone. Your fans are wild, she said, smiling. They're remixing the Ferns clip with your new song's beat. It's fire. Bieber grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. Good. Let's keep it moving. He'd spent years rebuilding his image, proving he'd grown from the reckless teen to a man with purpose. Zach's attack had reopened old wounds, but it also lit a spark. This track, tentatively called Still Standing, was his answer, not to Zach, but to everyone who doubted him. His phone buzzed, Scooter Braun, his manager. JB, you see the numbers? Your posts are outpacing the episode. We've got an invite to Ellen to talk about it. You in? Bieber hesitated. Another interview meant more questions about Zach, more chances to be baited. But Ellen was different, warm, not a roast. Yeah, set it up, he said. But I'm not dwelling on Zach. I'm talking music, fans, the future. Scooter agreed. Smart. Keep the narrative yours. That night, Bieber and Hailey hosted a small listening session at their house. Close friends, a few collaborators, and Josh filled the living room, pizza boxes scattered on the coffee table. Bieber played a rough cut of Still Standing, the room quiet as his voice filled the space. Lines like, "They laugh, but I'm still here, scars and all," hit hard. When it ended, the group erupted, Josh clapping loudest. "That's a hit, man," he said. Hailey squeezed Bieber's hand. "It's you. Raw, real." Bieber nodded, feeling the weight lift. This was his power, turning pain into art. The Ellen taping was 2 days later. The studio was bright, the audience buzzing as Bieber walked out, waving, his outfit casual but sharp, white hoodie, ripped jeans, sneakers. Ellen DeGeneres greeted him with a hug, her smile genuine. "You've been through it lately, huh?" she said, easing him into the couch. The crowd laughed, but it was warm, not mocking. Bieber chuckled, relaxed. "Yeah, you could say that." Ellen didn't linger on Zach long. "That Ferns episode went viral. How'd you handle it?" she asked. Bieber leaned forward, his voice steady. "It was rough. I went in expecting jokes, but it felt like a fight. I almost walked out." The audience gasped softly. "But I stayed. And I realized something, those jabs only hurt if I let them. My fans, my music, my life, that's what matters." The crowd cheered, and Ellen nodded, impressed. "You're dropping new music, right? Tell us about it." Bieber lit up, describing, Still Standing, "It's honesty, it's fight. It's for anyone who's been knocked down but keeps going," he said. The audience roared, and Ellen grinned. "Play a clip." A snippet of the song aired, Bieber's voice soaring over a pulsing beat. The studio erupted, fans in the crowd filming, already posting. Ellen wrapped the segment with a hug. "You're unstoppable, Justin." Backstage, Bieber exhaled, feeling lighter. He'd taken control, shifted the story from Zach's attack to his own resilience. X was ablaze with clips from the show, fans trending #StillStanding. The song dropped a week later, the singles cover a black and white shot of Bieber in the studio, eyes fierce. It hit #1 on iTunes in hours, streams skyrocketing. Critics, even those who dismissed him, praised its rawness. Rolling Stone called it Bieber's boldest yet, a middle finger to his doubters. The Ferns episode, once the story, was now a footnote, overshadowed by Bieber's comeback. Zach stayed silent, no apology, no comment, but Bieber didn't care. He'd won by moving forward. At a sold-out pop-up show in LA, Bieber performed Still Standing for the first time live. The crowd, 1,000 strong, sang every word, their phones lighting up the venue like stars. Hailey watched from the wings, her smile proud. Bieber, in a simple tee and cap, poured his soul into the mic, the lyrics a declaration, "I'm still here, scars and all." The energy was electric, fans screaming, some crying. This wasn't just a concert, it was a moment of defiance, of connection. Backstage, Scooter slapped his shoulder. "You flipped it, JB. They're talking about you, not Zach." Bieber nodded, wiping sweat from his face. Wasn't about him. It was about them. He gestured to the crowd, still chanting his name. His fans had carried him through the fire, and he'd given them something back. A song, a story, a truth. Weeks later, Bieber sat in his home studio, sketching ideas for the next album. The Ferns episode was old news, its viral spike faded. Zach's jabs had hurt, but they'd also sharpened Bieber's focus. He'd turned a moment of humiliation into a triumph, not by fighting back but by building forward. His phone pinged, a fan's DM, a teenager saying, "Still Standing got her through a tough year." Bieber smiled, typing back, "You're the reason I keep going." He leaned back, the studio quiet, the weight of the past lighter. Zach had tried to tear him down, but Bieber had risen, his music louder than any insult. The scars were there, his mistakes, his battles, but so was his strength. He was Justin Bieber, still standing, with a world of fans behind him and a future he'd write himself.